Information communication technologies is not a science meant for rocket scientists. It's a science meant for the average person, and it empowers him to change his life, his career, his potentials, and the respect he gets from society. Welcome to your program where we look at issues, trends, and developments in the global ICT industry. I'm Don Pedro Agambi, and you're in for a great show. Stay with us. Hello, this is Tech News. I'm Don Pedro Agambi. The Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria, ALTEN, has warned of the impending telecom service disruption in border areas of the country. This warning follows the Nigerian Customs Services directive to all customs zonal coordinators not to allow petroleum product to be delivered to any filling stations within 20 kilometers radius to any border area in Nigeria. ALTEN, in a letter sent to the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), said that the directive is already having a huge negative impact on its members' operations, noticing that if the necessary agencies of government do not urgently intervene in this situation, the impact will be significant. The use of mobile big data solutions in areas such as disaster response, disease prevention, and financial inclusion could positively impact more than 150 million people over the next 5 years. The Global System for Mobile Communication Association, GSMA, in a new study titled Mobile Big Data Solutions for a Better Future, prepared on its behalf by PricewaterhouseCoopers, outlined how advanced mobile network analytics and artificial intelligence can be applied to drive societal impact supporting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Nigeria has become the first country in West Africa to test run 5G technology and applications. A statement by telecom giant MTN Nigeria said that the feat became possible as a result of strong collaboration between the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC), MTN Nigeria, Huawei, ZTE, and Ericsson. This immersive demo and experience will travel across 3 Nigerian cities to showcase the capabilities of 5G and its potential to enable economic growth and social inclusion. With concerns mounting over increasing abuse of social media space in Nigeria and across the globe, necessitating calls for proper regulation, Facebook is of the view that any regulation targeted at the space should be pro-innovation. According to Facebook, in regulation, all stakeholders, including users, organizations, and private sector, and even the government, have got roles to play. In order to boost productivity, reduce downtime, and bring businesses up to speed with modern technology, Trenta IT Infrastructure Solutions Limited has introduced the Sigfox solutions that drives business automation in organizations. Giving details of the technology solution at a press conference, Executive Director, Sales, Trenta IT, Melina Ayola, said that Sigfox is already operational in 61 countries of the world, connecting 6.6 million registered devices with coverage of over 1 billion people.
Sigfox provides you with a network. It's low cost, both for the connectivity and for the devices. Hooking up to the Sigfox network through the IoT Africa Networks Limited solutions that we will be offering to the market will give you the advantage that you need, will give you the answers at the time that you want them. You don't have to wait to hear from anybody when you want answers within your organization. You shouldn't have to. And timely information is what fuels decisions, and business decision makers need to make decisions on the spot. That's what drives a competitive advantage, that my organization or your organization made a decision before your competitor. So if you can get information on the spot as and when you need it, analyzed from data analytics on your platforms for your IoT solution, then you can make fast decisions and you can stay ahead of your competition, gain your market share, or keep your volumes up.
News. And that was Tech News. I'm Don Pedro Agambi. Stay with us. Our Tech Personality of the Week is the president of Medallion Communications, Engineer Ikechukwu Nnamani. Watch.
Thank you, sir.
GSM in Nigeria, how would you describe it?
It's been a blessing to the country in a number of ways. Before GSM came, we knew how difficult communication services was. I remember then, for you to make call, you have to go and line up for hours at the old United station, taking your turn. And you can only talk for a few minutes before you run out of the whatever money you've paid for. Now, with GSM, communication has been made easy. Everybody can now communicate easier across every part of the world. You don't even need to sit in Nigeria to be able to do your communication anywhere. With your mobile phone, it roams all over the world. You don't need to be queuing up in any place. You have full mobility in terms of your ability to access voice service, and the same is applicable to data. So it has enhanced the quality of life of the citizens. It has created a lot of employment, not only from people working in the telecom sector, but people indirectly benefiting as auxiliary staff to the service providers. Today, a lot of people are even selling Richard card on the street that would have been jobless if that opportunity did not exist in the area of employment. In the area of business, it has enhanced business. Not only are you able to communicate and reach out to business partners, but you are also able to sell products and services using social media. If you check, a lot of the young people have taken advantage of that. They market their solutions on their status update on WhatsApp and any of the social media platform, and people buy from them. You know, I know a lot of people that is the only marketplace they have, being able to push out information to all their contacts, you know, in one go, and a lot of commerce is taking place. That means, so it has added a lot of value as a means of contribution to the GDP. Today is rated at about 10% of the GDP of the country comes from communication service, which 99% of it has to do with the GSM service provision. Okay, so it's been a big blessing to the country. Of course, as always, with every blessing comes challenges. So we know there are also a lot of challenges that has not been met. There are a lot of the services that subscribers don't feel they are getting value for the money they are spending. The quality of the service is still questionable in a lot of areas. And then we still have challenges in the area of availability of service across every local cranny of the country. There are some places you still go to today and you don't even get service. So we know those challenges exist, but if you are to rate it, given where we are coming from and where we are today, it's been a major improvement.
The consumer has always been described as a king. Under this dispensation, how would you describe the relationship between the regulator and the consumer?
It's a combination of several factors. One of them is beyond the communication industry. If you look look at the state of the country, whether we are proud of it or not, Nigeria as a country is still rated as a third world country. And that has a lot of implication across board, across every sector, whether you're talking of education, healthcare, communication, banking, finance, and others, right? So these are systemic challenges that the telecom subsector is only part of and the victim of. You know, you can probably take it back to the leadership state of the country, historical leadership situation of the country that has not allowed us to take advantage of our human and natural resources to develop as a group of people, okay? And the telecom industry has not been immune to some of these issues. And that's why when we notice some lapses in terms of service delivery, sometimes it's tied to some of this. There is not sufficient adequate funding, for instance, to roll out robust telecom infrastructure across the country. So the citizens are suffering from that. The cost of operation is still very high in a situation where you have to self-generate your own power instead of relying on a cheaper national available utility service, you know. So that drives up the cost that ultimately is passed on to the subscribers. You will still have challenges with various jurisdictions in terms of who have the right to regulate or issue charges for various services you need to operate. So right-of-way issues has not been harmonized at the federal, local, and state government level, where the federal gives a particular price, the state have a totally different price, and the local government sector have a different price altogether. All this is you pay almost 3 times what ideally you should pay once, you know. So those are realistic challenges being faced in the telecom sector, and unfortunately this translates to the subscribers in the area of quality of service or the tariff that is being paid. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. We feel even from the operator side there is a need to improve some of these lapses. From the regulatory side, there's also a major push to address it and get it resolved. So we believe that it's just over time we will see a lot of improvement, but there's a limit to what a subsector can do if the whole country also have its own lapses that is directly affecting the subsectors.
In what way do you think ICT can curb the current security challenges that we're having in the country?
You see, today, a lot of what we are noticing has been there before, but people don't know because there was no means to disseminate the information. So don't be surprised that kidnapping has always been there before the GSM revolution came. But it's not, nobody knows about it because it's done isolated and it just happens in one hamlet and people don't. Today, somebody jumps and crosses the road illegally. Before you know it is on all social media platforms. You know, somebody fights on the street and before you know it, it's broadcast everywhere. Before it was happening, it's just that the information was not being put out and it was being controlled by people that don't want it out there in the public. So that's one thing we need to understand, that because more people have access to information and because more people are becoming broadcasters of information as a private citizen, more information is now put out there and people are now more aware. So we need to understand that in terms of the scope. The second part is, if you even look at the challenges on the security side with kidnapping and all, most of the time, after the fact, when there's been kidnapping and if God help there's been rescue, the security agencies are able to walk backwards, and most times they've apprehended the criminals, and this is as a result of the footprint that is left on the telecom networks. as they call for ransom, as they interface with people, as they query locations, based services, they are able to triangulate where these criminal activities are taking place. Without the availability of communication, you won't be able to do that. So unfortunately, we still have these challenges, which we are all hoping will be addressed once and for all. But I know as a stakeholder in the industry that communication has helped, not made it worse. And it has also assisted a great deal in solving some of these challenges. A lot of people have been rescued 100% based on the fact that you were able to access their location. Okay, and even in cases where the criminals feel they've gotten away with it, once the security agencies go to work and start tracing, they are able to achieve some good results as a result of the support from the telecom sector.
How about governance? How has it helped in e-government or e-governance, as it were? Has it really, has the government truly taken advantage?
It's a work in progress. There's been some development. A number of the states have rolled out and digitized their services. There are some places, if you go to the immigration and some of those places now, you can apply online. What was manual before has now been digitized. A lot of the government services are being digitized, that much we know. It has not been as prevalent as we hope it would be by now, given that this technology and solutions have existed for a number of years. But we are seeing improvement. I know a number of states have rolled out smart city initiatives where they want to go beyond just digitizing the content and services offered in the state to actually rolling out a proper infrastructure that is ICT based, that a lot of stuff is riding on. I know some states today that are rolling out smart cameras to be able to monitor traffic and advise people where to avoid. I know there are services running that requires if you commit a traffic offense, you should be able to be located, because now they've been able to tag your plate number and digitize it and know who you are. When all this was manual, it was difficult to do. So we are seeing those services being rolled out. My prediction is that in the next few years, and I'm not looking at 10 years, much shorter than that, the whole country would have changed the way our government operates. I know government agencies like NCC, NIDA, are leading policies towards ensuring that happens. So, but these things are gradual, and some of them requires significant investment, especially on the private sector side. And if there are social-based services that you can't commercialize and generate revenue from, it means somebody have to subsidize it. And if the government is not able to provide that subsidy, it takes a much longer time to be implemented. So I am optimistic that in the near future we should get there.
There's also the issue of interconnection. Why is this misunderstanding, in quote, amongst operators in the area of interconnection?
Because it's a competitive environment. That is the truth. Operators are competing in the same space for subscribers. So their first approach to look at another operator is from the competitive angle, that if this man is not in business, that subscriber will be my client and I will generate that revenue. So that by default means that interconnect is always seen as something that the dominant players and players that feel they should control the market are very reluctant to embrace, because they know they have enough subscriber base for in-network traffic or on-network traffic to survive, while the smaller players need interconnect to be able to survive. So, and that was what led to the creation of the Interconnect Clearinghouse license by NCC to address that issue. Unfortunately, several years after it was created, some of these operators that prefer status quo to remain have not fully allowed that sector to thrive and achieve the objective, and that is why we are still noticing some of the issues, you know, in the area, or especially the area of interconnect debt, which we know clearing houses have been able to a large extent resolve the issue of the technical side of connectivity. The next phase is the commercial side and payment side, which under ATCON as an umbrella, we've even advocated the creation of an automated settlement scheme, you know, similar to what you have in the banking sector, to be able to address that, and we believe it's being given attention by the regulator. So hopefully, if that is done, then the challenge with interconnect debt will be addressed.
At what point did you decide to say, okay, let me come into the telecom sector?
Interestingly, I started my career in the oil and gas. I started, when I left the university in Nigeria, I worked with Ashland Oil back then. And then it's when I traveled for my master's in the US. And after that, I studied under a scholarship program, which required that I do research work, and part of the research work I did was I did projects for Boeing Aerospace, did projects for the US Navy, and then after that I fortunately pretty much all the projects were very successful, and that created a good platform under which to move into the private sector in the US and start working for a company called Loscon Networks in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a telecom firm, and that is where I developed much more interest in the telecom sector before deciding to do a number of things here in Nigeria, and then also do some projects in other parts of the world.
So when you were setting up Medallion Communications, what was the mission, basically?
I saw a need, because this was just about when the GSM revolution was picking up. So I knew that once you have multi-players in the space, you need to have a common platform where they handshake, and a platform where they trust, because they don't trust each other because they are competitors. I remember back then, Nitel was making it difficult for MTN, Glo, and the rest to even connect with them because they see them as competitors. And vice versa, when MTN was able to become independent and grow its base, it made it very difficult for Glo and the rest to also do business with them. So we saw the need to have a career-neutral player where everybody can have equal footing and be able to interconnect and cross-connect and do business. And because we are neutral, they had more trust in us. That's why we've been able to create the ecosystem. As we speak today, there's no operator in Nigeria that is not doing business with us. There's no operator in Nigeria today that is not using our service and platform. And that's because they see it as a neutral place where they can all coexist, you know, irrespective of the fact that they are competing among themselves.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great having you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Wow, that was our tech personality of the week, Engineer Ikechukwu Nnamani, president of Medallion Communications. That we do hope you found some of those information quite informative and educative. For comments and observation, reach us on the numbers and emails now showing on your screen. You can also reach us on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production crew, thanks for watching. I'm Don Pedro Agambi, same time, same station. I'll be back.